Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties with the link access. Not sure why that happened, but here we are. I'm glad we were able to get that resolved. I think some people will be coming in as we get started. Just so everybody knows, if you don't know me, my name is Emily Garfinkel. I am the Membership and Programs Manager here at the Connecticut League of Museums. I want to welcome all of you to part 2 of preparing for the 250th in Connecticut. The first program was really great to have. We're so grateful to Cindy and the rest of the 250th Commission team and Connecticut Humanities for allowing us to provide access to information about what to expect and see in the coming years from our different organizations across Connecticut. It's very exciting. So I just want to just do a little quick overview of some things that we have coming up on the programs front from the League. Coming up on October 3rd, we will be hosting a Grant Writing 101 session, also kindly provided by our colleagues at Connecticut Humanities. There should be information going out on that soon. It is live and posted on our website. I'll drop in the Zoom chat just a link to our upcoming events. Also coming soon, which we are in the midst of putting together, next Tuesday and the following Tuesday after that, we will be providing a 2-part series on NEH grant opportunities as well. So stay tuned for more info on that. Which is super exciting. Oh, perfect. I see Amris just dropped it in the chat. Thank you, Amris. Our executive director, Amris, is in the background as well. So that's what we have coming up soon on the League front for programs. And we look forward to seeing all of you there. So as I mentioned, this program is being recorded. For those of you who have to leave early, or if you have colleagues who'd like to view it, you will be receiving a follow-up email from us, which will include a link to the recording. It'll be uploaded to our YouTube channel, as well as a transcript of the chat. The folks at Connecticut Humanities will kindly provide any resources as well that is discussed today. So you can be on the lookout for that coming up very soon. We will have some time for questions at the end. I apologize that this started a little bit late today, and we will try to navigate the chat as we go. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them there. So I am very excited to introduce Cindy Talesa, the Development Manager at Connecticut Humanities, who is also on the 250th Commission, as well as Khalil Kotap, who is the Digital Heritage Coordinator at Connecticut Humanities, who will be following with some more digital heritage information afterwards. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Cindy. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. And thank you to everybody who was here last time. We had a great conversation going. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. So today I will be sharing with you all some of the resources on our commission page. The big one that we are releasing today is this planning guide. And then the other links are just some resources assembled from throughout the state. And Khalil will also be sharing some things that have been under development that we'll be posting up here. So I invite everybody, I lost my chat, there we go, to bookmark this page that I just sent over in the chat, as this is where we'll keep updating things. And the information that was shared at our last CLHO session will be posted to this page once it's done being compiled. There were lots and lots of ideas that were shared, and so we're just getting that information organized in a way that's easy for everybody to use in the future. So the planning guide has been in process for a few months now, and is up here. So we wanted to provide something similar to the AASLH, American Association for State and Local History planning guide that was released a couple of years ago, but with more specific information and ideas related to Connecticut specifically. So we have in here a listing of our commission members, including Amris Williams, and then a bit of a table of contents for what's in the guide. We are not yet printing a final version. We're gonna wait to get some feedback over the next couple of months. But for sure, by the time of the CLHO conference, but probably even before then, we'll be printing some versions that we can share with folks. So a quick little blurb on using this guide. It's really a starting point with some discussion questions, the themes of the Connecticut Commission, as well as some other ideas and information about the commission. Right now, the commission really sees the 250th as being a grassroots effort where folks are able to work with other people in their communities to advance programs, exhibitions, and other things related to the 250th. So we're encouraging collaborating with museums, libraries, community centers, schools, municipal offices, and commissions, and any other groups of people that are able to help create vibrant local spaces to develop over the next few years a commemoration that really includes a variety of voices and perspectives and makes everybody feel like this is an opportunity for them. At our last commission meeting, we adopted these guiding values. I won't take the time to read them aloud to you, but I encourage you to take a look at these. At our upcoming meeting, we plan to confirm a set of guidelines for promoting programs and events that are going on related to the 250th, and these guiding values are going to be an important part of that. So that next commission meeting, so that everyone's aware, is October 18th. It is a Wednesday at 10 a.m. at the Old State House. You are also able to tune in on the Connecticut Humanities Facebook page if you'd rather tune in virtually. And there are 5 to 10 minutes for public comment at the end of that meeting. So we are really hoping that folks will think beyond 1776 for the 250th. We are hoping that people will think about the last 250 years from the start of the United States of America to the present day, and think about how we've gotten to where we are and what we want to be as a country, as a state, as a community moving forward. So really using the 250th as a lens for community engagement, and really thinking very broadly about what has happened in our country, and what we really are hoping to see. On the commission website, we also have a listing of any local commissions that we are aware of with any contacts. So we've got a very short list right now. So if anybody out there is heading up a local commission of any kind, please feel free to reach out to me. I will throw my email in the chat. And I'll throw both my emails in here. So feel free to use whichever one's easier. So the Connecticut themes are drawn from the executive order that established the Connecticut Commission, and they align with the themes that were established by the American Association for State and Local History. We have quite a few field guides from AASLH that we are happy to share if anybody needs those. Please just, again, send me an email and I'll pop them in the mail to you. So we envision that each community can use one or all of these themes as inspiration to begin conversations with other community members as they think about commemorating the 250th. We're really encouraging everybody to tell their unique story, knowing that everybody has something special that makes their community their community. So tell inclusive stories. So here we're asking you to think about what stories remain untold in your community, whose voice has been heard in the past? How is this an opportunity to lift other voices? And a couple of ideas for kind of broadening that scope. How has education played a role in inclusion and exclusion? How can industry open avenues to untold stories? And then you'll recognize some of these ideas from our last session. For each theme, we have a few people, places, and events that were mentioned. And like I said, we will be distributing a larger list of ideas related to these themes. So in terms of things that we're hoping folks will talk about in regards to power of place, what makes your specific community unique? What places and stories are typically preserved and valued? What other places exist? And then who was a part of your community historically and how has that changed? And how did the natural environment shape your community? So doing history, a lot of feedback that we've received has been about the need for quote unquote good history. And I think getting people involved in the historic method and really helping people understand what that looks like is going to be important to establishing trust as we embark on 250th activities. So getting people to think about what is history, how is it different from the past, thinking about primary sources, finding sources for untold stories, and really considering who holds knowledge in different communities and how it's shared. And then for the common good, which is our theme more related to civics, how can understanding the origins of our government inform civic engagement today? How do we determine who is an American? How have ideas of citizen changed? And really helping people think about how our government and current political structure was started, how it's changed over time, and how we encourage participation and representation as we move forward. And a few more examples. So in this planning guide, we also list many of the resources that are on the website, and we'll be updating this to include the database that Khalil will be talking about. We have started to collect resources from around the state that'll be in a database that's easily searchable. And finally, a little information about CT Humanities and our role administering the commission, and then the commission itself, how it was began and what our mission is. So we are excited to be able to share this with folks and hopefully create something that, if you'd like to print it off the website, you're more than welcome to, but something that starts to spark those conversations in a way that hopefully provides a little more clarity than just sharing the broad themes that we've released before. So I'm going to go ahead and back out of this and stop sharing my screen. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those. But if not, I'll let it move over to Khalil. Khalil, you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Let me just get my screen up. Everybody see that? Very good. Cindy? Yeah? Okay. So thank you guys. Cleo Kotap. I am the Digital Heritage Coordinator here at Connecticut Humanities. And over the last, it's been 9 months. Over the last about 9 months, I've been working on a couple projects for digital resources under our statewide digital initiative. And this is the first time that we're kind of sharing this out with the public, some of the projects that we're working on, and they definitely fit within the America 250 scope, and we can use these tools to kind of enhance all of the projects that we're working on. So I've been working with Mike Kamisis. We've been working really hard. These were his original ideas, and I've taken a run with them, and they are now a reality. So we're really happy to be able to have these here for you. So I'm going to go through the digital resources, and being the teacher that I am, I always say, feel free to ask the questions, but please, save any questions so that I can see them once I'm done sharing. And then feel free to reach out afterwards, and we'll be sharing links in the chat so that you guys can check these out once the PowerPoint's done. I took screen grabs, so this way it was easier for me to kind of go through and you weren't distracted by scrolling through web pages. So today we're going to be looking at opening up two digital platforms to the public, which are still in development. So I will be saying this a lot during the presentation, which is they are going to be public, they are going to be usable and searchable, but they are being updated consistently throughout this process. So things might change. We'll be sending updates and let you guys know how those changes kind of impact what's here, but they are functional, they are usable, and hopefully they're going to grow. So, and as they grow, we're looking for feedback from you, the user, as to what works, what doesn't work, and any feedback so that we can add additional features, because both these platforms we are planning on scaling them up. So we need your feedback to kind of help with that process of things that we might need. So I'm going to be going through two sites. So the America 250 resource site, which is a list of items and resources from around the state that we're looking to grow. And then we've also built a communication platform, which we're calling the Connecticut Humanities Network. And I'll get into both of those. So the 250 Commission resource site holds digital resources about Connecticut history, focusing in on a variety of things. It is the items that are in this system currently are a combination of primary sources and secondary sources. The site is expanding, and we're going to need your help. So right now we have about 206 items in there. They have been contributed by the 250 Commission has submitted almost 100 items for indexing on the site that we've added. We would like to see that grow. The focus right now on most of the items is around the Revolution, but as Cindy went through the 4 themes that have been identified, anything from our country's history over the last 250 years can be added, as long as it falls under one of the 4 themes, which is tell inclusive stories, the power of place, doing history, and for the common good. So the question is, how do you submit things? So we are currently, in building this, we went out looking for resources. We're asking you now as the user to submit resources. So we have created 2 ways to submit for the site, to add items to the site, and I'll show you how it functions in a second. But as a single item, we've created a Google form that Cindy has, and that will come to me, and we can add things individually. If you are an institution with a digital collection, the only problem with the site as a whole is that it has to have some kind of digital representation that we can share out, because as you'll see in a moment, it is important to have a digital component to it. So a finding aid, something online, a link to it, a digital collection, something that we can share out, add to the collection on here, and then share out. So the single items can be done through the Google form by anybody. If you are an institution with a digital collection that would like to submit multiple objects at once, we have created a metadata map that has all the information we need to be able to import into our system. There are a few fields that are required, such as a title, a creator, the source of the repository. Those are required. Everything else can be in the theme. Those 4 things are required. And the other things, depending on how you have your stuff digitally, can fit into the system. So all of these things you can, if you're an institution, you can reach out to myself or Mike, and we can add those things to it. Currently, I'm working on something from the CTDA, and some items from Litchfield. So it takes a little while to add them in and get them set, but once they're in there, you'll see how they work. So this is our welcome page. It gives you a small introduction to what this site is, and then jumps you right into using it. So you can see the bottom half of the screen where it says Litchfield is some of the items that we have in here. Our menu shows there are 4 different pages. Again, we're building these out, so more stuff to come. It is a very bare bone site, but it is functional, and we're really excited to be able to test it and show you guys what it can do. So if you go to the first one, so where is it? There it is. So it's welcome, browse resources, a resource list, and about. So if you go to our browse resource page, this is what you're going to see. It gives you a faceted browse, and we're building this out as well. Right now, it has a hierarchy to it. So as you select something, it will then eliminate things. So if you were to search this way, where you wanted an article and you wanted it on the 250 theme, it'll pull up whatever is in the system for those that match both of those things. So we recommend that you're only picking things from one facet of each one, because otherwise it does not work as an and or system, which means if you were to select article and books, it won't come back with anything because things aren't an article or a book or and a book. So we're working on the searches, but there are multiple ways to search. So this will kind of narrow things down if you wanted to go through the hierarchy of those things. Right now, the facets that you can browse by are the type. What type of object is it? The theme, the location. We have put in the identified towns within the state of Connecticut. So every town is in there currently. They don't all have resources, but we hope to have resources for every town at some point. The scope, and then the content source. So those are the current active facets. We're looking at adding more of them and different ways to search. What's also nice about this page is once you complete a search, if you look at the top of the screen, it says copy permalink. It does create a link to your search. So you are able to share out that specific search or save that specific search for yourself. So it makes it really a good resource to be able to say, I want to find out all the information about doing history on this site. That is an article, and I want to send it out to people. You can copy the permalink and send it. The next page is our resource list. So this is just the raw list of every object that's in here. So currently we have 206 objects in this system. We look to, by the end of the week, probably have close to 250. There's an advanced search. We'll just let you go through each of the different facets of each object. And you can sort this however you wanted, whether it's when we put it in. So the created date is not necessarily the date the object was created. If something is from 200 years ago, if it's a chair or if it's a manuscript, it's sorted by how we created it in the system. And then you can select how you want that to go. And then for the individual objects, when you get to an individual object page, what you'll see on there is basically what the metadata map is. I think we're up to almost 20 section individual metadata portions. I forgot how we refer to those. Items of metadata that we can search by. Everything has a link back to the original repository. We are not holding anything ourselves. This is just a listing of objects that we get the metadata on. And then it's important that we support the institutions that we work with. So we send them back to your website, wherever your digital collection is, to encourage people to visit your site, reach out to you, and support you. So it's very important that we kind of send people back to the original location of that. In this case, it's one of ours from ConnecticutHistory.org. It's an article, so it's a secondary source. And what's nice is this week we just instituted 2 ways to search on an item page. I know this is a lot. Once you get in there, it becomes a little more intuitive. But you'll see that under creator, that name is highlighted. So if you were to click on that name, you would be able to find any article, any object within our system that is by that creator. We've also instituted it for the source of content, and we're looking to add it to more sections of the site. So it gives you a lot of options to find things on the site, whether, if one search doesn't work for you, maybe a different type of search. So there are a lot of different ways to maneuver through the site. And hopefully as this grows, more and more things will be searchable, connected. And that's the point. We want to really create interconnectedness between our institutions and the public and really support them in getting them into your spaces, using your materials, referencing you, and really being engaged with your institution. And so that's one of the really good parts about this system. So I will I'll try to pop into the chat a link to this site. It's got a messy name. We're going to shorten it, promise. But right now it's on our testing site. But it's functional and usable. So we're looking forward to some feedback on it and some submissions as well. The next project that we've been working on for the last 9 months is our Connecticut Humanities Network. As we get into this, you will see some familiarities between things that you might use in your everyday life for websites. And we've used that, we've identified this as a theme over the website to make it a little easier to use. So when you go to our Humanities Network, this is your welcome page. It kind of shows you a little brief introduction into what everything is on there. You have the option to sign up and sign in. Once you are signed in, it's easy to use software. If you've used LinkedIn or you've used Facebook, it should look familiar to you. We've kind of identified that as a way to make it a little easier for people to use. It's a place for us to have conversations about the 250th. We have opened up a group for that. Our 250 group is open to anyone that joins the network. Now, we get the question of like, do I have to sign up for something else? Yes, you do have to sign up to have an account with this. It's free. You set up how you want to interact with it. So it's not going to be pushing you to do things that maybe, you don't want a lot of emails, you don't want a lot of notifications. You customize the network, your personal part of the network to yourself. But the 250th group is open to anyone. As we get into the site, you will notice that we do have other groups on the site that we have been testing with and we're starting to build up. And those are our working groups that are specific to different sections of the humanity institutions that we work with within the state. And you'll see that in a moment. And again, this is the first public test of the system. I fixed something last night that I've been working on for about 3 months now, and I'm very happy that it finally works. So you will see things that kind of update and change. We're going to be adding features to this because we stripped it down to the bare essentials, and we're going to be scaling this up depending on the needs of the users of the site. So this is what the site looks like. So if you've used LinkedIn or Facebook, this should look familiar to you. This is the main feed of the site. So this is after you've logged in, this is where it sends you, and you will see updates on the network that are public to you. So the America 250 group is public to everybody. So you can see Cindy has updated that site to change the name of it. You can see who's become a registered member. You can see who's joined the site. And we are on my test profile. You can see there are 2 of me on the screen currently on this. And so one is my test and one is the administrator. So I can kind of see what the public sees and how their interactions are with it. At the top of the screen is the general menu for it, which is your news feed, your groups, and connections. And then on the left side of the screen, you will see the menu that is personal to you, which is your profile, your notifications, your timeline, events, your connections, meaning people that you've connected to on the site, and the groups that you're part of. So really the left side of the screen is your personal menu, and the top of the screen is the public menu that everybody has. You'll also notice at the top of the screen next to my name on the right-hand side of the screen, there is a little bell, and that's how your notifications are sent to you on the web. So again, it functions really well like other social networking platforms, but it gives you one place to kind of have the discussions, because what we found is emails get lost, Teams messages get lost. We're trying to keep conversations around certain projects in one space, sending meeting invites, sending resource links, sending updates or things that you want to share out, it gives it one place to live instead of having to search through 6 different places. So we're hoping that we have a very active community on this that kind of shares out all of their information, so that we can have a lot of conversations. And we're looking at different facets to add to this site to up the engagement and different ways to have communication, because right now everything's on a main feed. So you will have to kind of scroll through to look for things, but conversations come up and notifications will be part of it. So when you go to your groups, this is the full group page. So it shows you all the groups in here. So the America 250 group is an open group, so you can see that you can join it. The other groups are our working groups. They are specific to different sections. So you can see we have our digital systems group, our web preservation, cultural data. We have museum educators. These groups meet quarterly, and you can talk to Mike and I if you're in one of these sectors and want to be part of one of these groups. We are making sure that we're engaging people, talking about things, working on projects, sharing out the work that we do, and then being able to share out the work that we do with these groups as well. So Mike and I had these groups as part of our programs and partnerships here in this section of Connecticut Humanities. So once you get into a group, you see that Cindy has updated it yesterday with our logo for the America 250. We've got pictures, and you can see it just started, so there's not a lot of conversation going, but we hope when you guys join, we'll be able to up the conversation. We'll be able to share documents and videos, updates, links, things like that, and conversations that you want to have about the celebration. Your personal profile page, you set it up with an image. However you want to set it up, you can do your own connections. The only thing we don't have on here right now is live chatting. So there's no messaging system within the system. So everything's on a public level. And of course, with any system, we just ask that you're respectful of other people's opinions. And we have conduct policy that's on there that you can take a look at. And we just kind of working network for professionals within our humanities network. And then one of the final things I'll talk about is your notifications. You have 2 ways to get notified by updates for this site. You can set this any way you'd like to. We'll have a user guide on how to sign up, how to set up your notifications, how to post things, how to engage with people on the site. But this is just a picture to show you that you have the option to not be logged into the site or have to log into the site to get updates. You can have them sent to your email. So it depends on your level of engagement with this. So you can have it so it just sets up things that you're specifically engaged with, or whether or not you want full system emails that update you, or you can have it for the web, or you can just shut off your notifications at all and check back whenever you want to. We usually recommend leaving the web ones on, so at least when you sign into the network, things will pop up saying that you have notifications. We understand that inboxes are full of emails, but if you want that to be your way of communication, saying, you're a new update has been posted to a group that you're in, and you want an email about that, you can set that up just by checking off the box. So it's really catered to how you want to interact with the system. It's important to us. So we've turned those on for you as a standard, and then you can go in and set your requests the way you want them to be. And then finally, you can see your connections. And since this is my test one, I'm not connected to any other users, but you can see who requests you, who you want to connect with, who you want to share things with, and it'll allow you to kind of connect and network within our all of our institutions around the state. So that is it for those. I'm gonna hop out of this, and I will share the link to that with you all. So it is just CTH network. And then if you have any specific questions about adding things to our resource database, individually or as a bulk import ingest, you can email me at keiko@connecticuthumanities.org. or if you have any questions about the network and need help navigating anything, I'm the one kind of taking charge on all the tech support for those. And we'll be sending out user guides, links to those, as well as logins and things like that if you have any issues. So that's what I got. So hopefully if anybody has any questions. I also know that was a lot of information about websites, and I went through it in 20 minutes. So if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to. I know the ins and out of it by this time after nine months of building those two sites that were ideas in Mike's head that he kind of handed over to me. So I'm very proud to be able to show those off and excited to see how they work. So please feel free to reach out with any questions.
Yeah, we all hope that the CTH network is a great place for folks to continue the conversations that were begun in this space in a more continuous way.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Well, thank you so much to our CTH team for hosting this program today. Again, we still have a little bit of time left, even with the delay. So if you folks have any questions, I think we can, if there's anything you want to discuss offline, I can turn off the recording and we can keep the chat going, or if folks want to raise their hands and unmute themselves, that should be fine. But otherwise, I want to thank you all so much again for joining us today. Be on the lookout for us for more information regarding any upcoming future programs regarding the 250th, as well as the follow-up email, which will include a link to the recording, the resources, and the links that we talked about today. And also, as mentioned, we do have some exciting upcoming programs, also featuring some of our colleagues from CTH talking about grant opportunities and grant writing. So I will just close by saying thank you. And again, thank you so much for your patience with our technical difficulty. I'm so sorry that it caused a delay in getting into the waiting room. You never know with Zoom sometimes, but I appreciate you all being here. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the next program. So thank you again and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.